Welcome to the show. In the business world, Amazon is one of the big winners of the coronavirus crisis, with a surge in people shopping online during lockdown. But in France, a dispute with workers over safety conditions at their warehouses has seen the company shut down operations here for more than 4 weeks. In a moment, we'll hear from a union that's representing staff at Amazon. But first, a reminder of the story so far with James Vicina.
There's been huge demand for Amazon services in recent months, but its French warehouses have been lying idle. When lockdown and social distancing measures were imposed in mid-March in France, unions complained that many warehouse employees were still forced to work in close proximity to one another. They took Amazon to court on health and safety grounds and won, resulting in a ruling that forced the company to restrict deliveries to essential goods only. Rather than risk a fine of €100,000 every time it broke the rules, Amazon chose to close its 6 warehouses on the 16th of April.
Il a d'énormes conséquences sur à la fois nos clients, il a des conséquences sur des PME et des TPE françaises, et puis il a des conséquences sur nos employés.
A subsequent appeal by the company was rejected, but Amazon is now applying to a higher court to have the restrictions lifted, and it says it's discussing steps towards reopening warehouses with its workers. With many of its 10,000 staff now unable to work, Amazon sought access to the French government's temporary unemployment scheme. The Labour Ministry rejected the claim, saying the shutdown wasn't due to a drop in economic activity, but a decision by the company after a legal ruling. Unions point out that the online retailer is still operating in France.
Amazon dramatise sa situation, dont il est largement à l'origine, alors même que, je rappelle, l'activité des plateformes Amazon continue, les livraisons continuent à être assurées par l'intermédiaire de plateformes européennes.
Amazon's closure has also affected many smaller businesses that sell their goods through the company's website.
I'm joined now by Stéphane Enjolras from the union Solidaire, which was one of those that took Amazon to court over this. Stéphane, thank you for being with us. Can you give us an idea for our viewers of the sort of conditions in the warehouses that pushed you to take this action against the company?
So people went to the warehouses and saw that there were not enough safety conditions, security conditions for them, for their health. So they asked Amazon to do what it has to do to protect them, to have enough items, masks, etc. But the main problem was social distanciation, because in warehouses there are hundreds, even thousands of workers, and they have to work with each other, to touch each other, to carry heavy items, etc. So it was really a problem with the security of each one. So we asked Amazon to do things to conform to the law about it, and Amazon said we are doing everything we have to do. So it began with asking, what do you do for social distancing? Amazon answered, we will hire safety angels. So they hired people called safety angels, but from what we know from what happened in the warehouses is that safety angels couldn't do their work. Imagine you're in a place where there is hundreds of workers that are doing their work, and Amazon asked people to do the same as before the pandemic, so they couldn't respect the social distancing, and safety angels weren't the answers. So it lasted a few days, and the response of Amazon wasn't. It was nothing more done about it.
And that's what led you to taking through the courts, which led subsequently to the shutdown by Amazon of the warehouses as well. Now, unions like yours have come up with a plan for Amazon to help it reopen its depots. What sort of things are in that plan?
We ask for a safe plan of recovery for recovery of economic activity. We ask for unified methodology, the same rules and principles everywhere. We ask for the nomination of independent experts. I mean, not only one expert chosen by Amazon, but chosen by unions and Amazon. That means workers and Amazon. And there are a lot of studies to do in each place of each warehouse to describe what could be sure, what could be safe, and what couldn't. It takes time. We are discussing with Amazon Direction these days about this plan. It's ongoing.
And what are those sort of principles, though? Is it just social distancing? Is it having a reduced number of people in the warehouses? What sort of examples are in those principles?
You're talking about social distancing. For us, there is only one solution, one way to manage it. It is to have less workers on the sites, less workers in the warehouses. Of course, we ask Amazon to pay workers who couldn't go to work to respect social distanciation. That's part of our demand to Amazon.
What has Amazon said in response to that plan? Are they engaging with those discussions?
So I can't tell you now at this time what is the answer of Amazon because we are still discussing about it. But what I can tell you is that Amazon doesn't show a lot of how to say it. They seem to want to tell us what to do, and they are not hearing enough. We think what we are saying. So that means that the closure of the warehouses could longer much more than the 13th of May, as Amazon said today.
Amazon is still paying its workers while the warehouses are shut. They did seek to get temporary unemployment insurance from the government for this. That decision was refused, or rather the government declined to give the company that temporary employment insurance. Did you see that as a tacit support for your dispute with the company?
I don't know if it is a tacit support, as you say, but for sure, Amazon can afford to pay his employees, his workers. So we would have been very surprised that the state, if the state had chose to give money to Amazon, because we must remind that this help, this money, public money, is for companies that have difficulties. Amazon isn't in difficulty, and they are earning a lot of money, especially during pandemic, so they can afford that.
Okay, Stéphane Angerin from the Union Solidaire, thank you very much for joining us. Now, we did ask Amazon to come on the show, but they didn't respond to our request. Now, I have been speaking to Benoît Berthollet, who is a French journalist who wrote the book The World According to Amazon, after 3 years investigating the company, including how it runs its warehouses. I started by asking him if he was surprised that Amazon took the decision to shut down its depots.
Yeah, a little bit surprised, because the company is known for being very flexible, very adaptive to any new situation. So if the judge is telling Amazon, you can only ship essential products, that is to say, food, hygiene, medicines, pet food, I thought Amazon would be, it would be easy for them to organize in a different way and to only select these products and only ship these products. But apparently it's been very complicated for them to reorganize their workflow, to only select these items and take care of these items. So that's what made them stop the warehouses, and for almost a month now. So yeah, I was a bit surprised that they took this decision, which was not the judge's decision. It's Amazon's decision to stop the warehouses.
Is the situation for warehouse workers in France different for Amazon warehouse workers in other parts of the world?
It's not. Amazon is a really centralized company. All the decisions are made in Seattle, and then lots of decisions are made in Luxembourg for the European branch of the company. But it's more or less the same rules, the same organization for any warehouse in Europe. So French is no different. as for the organization of the warehouses and so on. What is different is well, the law and the laws protecting the workers, and clearly the work culture as well. That is what is very different, and what has been actually a problem for Amazon there.
Do you think there's a chance that workers in warehouses elsewhere for Amazon might look at what's happening in France and take some inspiration from it?
They surely are looking at what's happening in France. We've seen for the past years a strong connection between all the unions in Europe. There have been a summit between all the unions of Europe at Amazon in Brussels, I think, in the end of last year. So they're more and more doing this kind of global days of protest and so on. That's for the European part. And we've been seeing this past month a lot of demonstrations in the US as well, with kind of projects of unionizing more and more warehouses in the US. It's caused a lot of trouble with the firing of many workers in the US. And a few days ago, Vice President of Amazon Web Services has been resigning because he wasn't happy with the way those workers were fired. And he has been quitting Amazon, quoting in this public letter of resignation the case of France, and saying that maybe justice had to look more closely at what Amazon is doing, and he was quoting France as an example of this. So it surely has a strong impact.
What do you think would Amazon do next in this situation? Is there a risk that they might quit the French market?
No, I don't think there is a risk. Their plan for France is set for the years to come. They're investigating a lot of places in France to open new warehouses in the west of the country, in Brittany, in Normandy, in the south of the country, basically where they lack warehouses that be planned to expand in France. So no, there would be no point for them to leave. They certainly are working on the lobbying side to better the image of the company in France. They will need to work a lot on this. Jeff Bezos has actually been meeting with Emmanuel Macron just before the lockdown. So they're working on this.
That's all from us for this week. Do get in touch with your views or questions on this story. You'll find us on social media. Until next time, thanks for watching.
France 24. Every art form.
Liberté, égalité, actualité.